So let me be clear.
So to the Iraqi people, let me be clear about America's intentions. Let me be clear. The United States government has no interest in running GM. So let me be clear. But let me be clear. Let me be clear. I'm committed to making these cuts in a way that protects our senior citizens. And let me be clear. NATO should be seeking collaboration with Russia, not confrontation. But let us be clear. Al-Qaeda killed nearly 3,000 people on that day. So let me be clear. If you like your doctor or healthcare provider, you can keep them.
Various political groups attacking various members of society on various issues. Honestly, all these accusations can overwhelm anybody because all too often there's very little, if any, evidence of any real war, as we always hear. But in this case, our next guest says there is plenty of evidence in one issue that the current administration is taking aim at an entire generation and something needs to be done about it right now. She is a political commentator, a weekly columnist at townhall.com, and now author of the book, Let Me Be Clear, Barack Obama's War on Millennials and One Woman's Case for Hope. It is a pleasure to welcome Katie Kieffer into Midpoint. Katie, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Here we go now. There's always a war. We always hear there's a Republican war on women. There's a war on this person, a war on this group. All right, first of all, you are going to have to make some sense of this here because I guarantee you there's people out there going, what war on millennials? Aren't they doing well? Aren't they doing just fine coming out of college?
When you look out there, you see that over 15% of millennials are unemployed and over a third are living at home with their parents. This is a 40-year high. We have 2.3 million missing households in our country right now. If our real estate market were healthy, we could knock 1.5 percentage points off of the unemployment rate. So we do have a crisis when we have law school students who are passing the bar exam only to find jobs working as baristas. So I addressed this crisis in my book, which I titled Let Me Be Clear, to turn Barack Obama's famous catchphrase against him. Now it's my generation's turn to be clear with our president, and we're demanding accountability, but also I offer solutions. These are practical solutions that all generations can take so that we can take back our American dreams. For example, I interviewed close to 300 doctors and surgeons to get their free market solutions to offering affordable and high quality health care for all Americans. And those solutions are offered in this book, and that's just one example of the hope that you will find for the future so we can take back our dreams. This is a very important message to get out to millennials and all ages before the midterms.
Katie, were you duped the first time out? And I say you, I'm speaking of millennials here. The opinion that millennials were duped the first time voting for Barack Obama and now feel that they were duped a second time. And again, people are going to ask, how could you be duped twice then? What happened?
That's a good question. And the first time around, yes, certainly they were. The second time around, leading into the 2012 elections, polls showed that millennials were losing trust in Barack Obama. They were not going to come out to vote for him in droves. And that's when Barack Obama really picked up or ramped up the lies. He told them that if you vote for me, you will graduate without any student loan debt. He told them that you will have free health care. Your health insurance premiums will go down. We in fact found out that that was not the case. For example, I personally received a bump in my premium. Many others did as well. So he ramped up the lies. He played to the fact that they didn't have jobs, that they were drowning in debt. And at the same time, he utilized his IRS to crack down on the Tea Party. So they didn't have an alternative voice out there. All they could hear was his voice, his message. And in that sense, considering the fact also that polls showed their parents were a bit confused about what was going on with regard to Obamacare, they were duped in a sense again in the second round. So what this book does is it lays out the truth in the voice of a millennial. It's coming to them as a best friend or as a sister. This is a very unique way to reach young people right now, and we need to get it out. I don't think that the Republican Party or the Independent Party is getting this message out, but so I'm throwing myself out there. I'm being that voice for all of these groups that
Okay.
want to reach out to millennials.
Well, let's talk about those groups here, because there are, and I've talked to a number of people in the millennial generation, if you will, and they say, look, the reason we voted for Barack Obama the second time around is the Republicans, the independents, the libertarians, nobody came up with anybody else nearly decent for us to vote for it. So we just did it because, okay, 4 more years, we know we're throwing away our vote. They say that you didn't give us anybody else. So then what is the solution here to finding somebody else that the millennials will say, okay, that's the person who's there for me?
I'm glad you raised that point, because that is another factor. The Republican Party needs to do a better job of running great candidates. Part of the problem was that the millennials were not in love with McCain or Romney, and we can do a better job of running strong candidates while at the same time remaining true to our core beliefs. And I give specific advice on just how to do that in my book, titled Let Me Be Clear. The last chapter is called Roarin' Muscle Cars, and it's all about how we can take back our freedom, how the Republican Party in particular can reach out to these millennials. And part of it is actually having a millennial speak to millennials to tell you the truth, because that's how it's going to resonate the most powerfully, I believe, with them. So that's why I spent 2 years researching this book and putting it out there in their own voice, so that
So what you're saying then is, from the millennial
powerfully.
standpoint, is you're saying your message to the Republicans and others would be stop giving us old guys?
No, it has to be a combination of that wisdom. There's a lot of wisdom that comes with years, and also a young person like myself affirming that and putting it in their own language, in other words.
Okay, let's put some things into language here now and a few issues here, and let's see where the millennials are on this, for whom you speak here. Gay marriage, first of all. What is the position of the millennials here? And try to keep this brief, if you will, a few things that we have to go through here. What is it that the millennial generation wants to see with regard to gay marriage?
Most millennials are very open to that idea, and what I run through that specifically in my book, and how Barack Obama took the wrong approach to that. We already have the Constitution of the United States is silent on marriage and family law, and that's for a reason, because the 10th Amendment allows for individuals and states to determine those issues. And that so what I found in my research is that millennials tend to be very socially libertarian, and so they're going to support Republican and conservative messages that speak to the First and 10th Amendment with regard to gay marriage.
Okay, next up is unemployment. From your book, from your research then, what's the solution?
Well, we should have the lowest corporate income tax rate in the world, not the highest. That's a first step, and that comes straight from Steve Jobs, actually, who is a huge role model for our youths on both the left and the right. I weave him through the book quite a bit, actually, knowing that millennials highly look up to him, and to push entrepreneurship. 70% of millennials say that they want to become entrepreneurs. And so if we can make it actually possible by lowering some of these regulations, cutting taxes, getting rid of the red tape, so that you can go out into your garage and become the next Steve Jobs, we're going to see so much growth you won't believe it. Because if 70% of millennials want to work for themselves and start an innovative company, and with the technology we have today they can do it, let's make that happen with public policy.
Okay, very contentious issue, gun control here. There are a number of millennial groups and people in that age group that I've spoken to that said we need more gun laws. They're always screaming for it. However, you in your book say, wait a minute, with everything that's happened here, with what's happened with campus and community shootings, you're saying fewer gun laws, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. I grew up in a gun family. I know firsthand from growing up around responsible gun owners that having guns in the home, growing up in a culture of guns, does not turn you into a criminal. And what we just saw out in California, actually in the very tragic case of Elliot Rodger, was that California has the strictest gun control laws in the entire country, and yet that did not stop this young man whose parents unwittingly aided him in this issue by letting him live alone, by providing him with a BMW that he used to commit his crime, and ignoring his mental illness. In mental illness is a huge theme that runs throughout all of these crimes, and what I offer in my book is a solution that involves more guns and more love. We need a combination of those two, and then we're going to end, or at least we're going to see a tapering down of this mass violence.
All right then, 20 seconds, last shot here. What is your big solution that you put forward in the book? What is the message you send to millennials right now if they want to change things and make it better?
Look to yourself first, believe in yourself more so than politicians, and get involved, take action. I give you specific solutions in my book, Let Me Be Clear, for how you can do that, but don't give up, pursue your American dream, and look to yourself first before the government.
I'm going to take it then that you're going to be very cautious about whom you vote for in the next election, correct?
I'm going to vote for the free market guy or gal.
All right, as long as we have that down now, there's at least a message for those people who are considering running, of course. The book, once again, is Let Me Be Clear, Barack Obama's War on Millennials and One Woman's Case for Hope. Katie, thank you so much for joining us today. Good luck with the book.
Thank you for the opportunity to share this message.
It's a pleasure. Don't kid yourself, people. The millennials are a very powerful group out there. It is that generation right now that is saying, where are our jobs and where is our opportunity? And they are saying, quite frankly, that they've had that opportunity taken away from them. All right, coming up, why we should be concerned and considering who will take the place of John Boehner. Plus, there's some news about Wendy Davis you need to hear. You also can tell us what you think. We hear you on social media, because here on Midpoint, we question everything.